I'm San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg. I am a Trinity University alum, and I want you to know about my passion for these two vibrant communities. My alma mater is now a nationally recognized liberal arts university, offering fully integrated arts, humanities, STEM, and professional programs. Grounded in the liberal arts, Trinity graduates students who think critically, act meaningfully, and contribute confidently throughout their careers. As for San Antonio, Trinity is an oasis in the heart of a city that serves as a cultural bridge to the Americas. We are a diverse community that values inclusion and welcomes intellectual curiosity and spirited debate. We're a city that challenges convention and welcomes new ideas. Great things are happening at Trinity University, in San Antonio, and through all our connections to our multicultural world. Join me in being part of this exciting moment.
Hello again, baseball fans, and welcome back to Tiger Network, where you saw quite a show in Game 1 of this doubleheader. Jackson Tier, the San Antonio native, threw a no-hitter in 7 innings, struck out 9 Kangaroo hitters, and he was mobbed by his teammates at the end of that one. And now we get right back to it. Both teams fed up by Chick-fil-A and Jimmy John's, Luke, and we get to do it all over again.
Yeah, and Cade McGahan is going to have his hands full. A tough task to follow the two Trinity starters that we've already seen this weekend. I mentioned it at the end of the first of our doubleheader here this afternoon. Shavana last night giving up just 1 hit in his complete game. Tier with a complete game no-hitter, but McGahan with a nice start here for the second of our doubleheader action. 1 pitch, 1 out, and we are underway again in San Antonio.
It has been these 3 starters that have gotten the call each and every weekend thus far. Joseph Shavana, Jackson Tier, Cade McGahan. And it's really hard to compare the 3. They're all different. They've all been extremely talented this year. But if you look at the numbers, one could easily argue that McGahan has actually had the cleanest of starts of all. He's 1-0, and he has a 1.19 ERA through 23 innings now. And he has had that pitch working to perfection. The off-speed gets the strikeout of Rosal, and he is following in Tier's footsteps, not only not allowing a hit so far, but just the pace at which he's working.
Yeah, great start to his afternoon here, Brian. McGahan, the oldest of these 3 pitchers, class of 23 guy here at Trinity. That one down the right field line. Gore in pursuit, but it'll get down just inside that fair foul line. On his way to third base, pushing in there safely, it looks like. No, he will be called out. A bang play over there at third base. A nice relay in from right field. Gore getting that one in a hurry after it got past him originally. See on the replay right here, a nice stroke to right field off the bat of Woodhouse, just barely staying fair. Colt Harris aware all the way that Woodhouse was trying for 3. A nice turn and a strong throw coming in on 1 hop. Holloway getting the tag straight down, and it looks like it was in there just ahead of that left hand hitting the bag.
And can we talk about the camera work there for a second? I mean, that is picture perfect. It's as if we knew that that relay was going to happen, and he followed him exactly. Congratulations to that great camera work that allows us to see it so clearly, and a great job, as you described well, Gore to Harris to Holloway.
Yeah, and Harris just doing a fantastic job. And you're going to see it again here. Watch the left hand of Woodhouse. It stops right there, but that tag was already applied by Christian Holloway, playing in the field here at third base for the Tigers. So McGahan gives up the hit. A nice piece of hitting from Woodhouse to send it down that right field line. But nothing will come of it for Austin College. So it was a great relay, a really strong turn and throw from Colt Harris, who did a good job recognizing the runner was going, turning back to receive that throw from Gore, and then making the strong delivery to third base.
And it was an eruption from the Kangaroo dugout, getting a hit after being no hit in 7 innings in game 1. And yet that elation was so short-lived thanks to that defense of the Tigers. And it puts the offense right back out there for Trinity, who scored 10 runs last night, 10 runs earlier today. But Garrett Gray will be the one trying to stop the floodgates. Number 18 there, the senior from Forney, Texas, was maybe going to come into game 1 of the doubleheader, according to Coach Counts, but now that he was not needed, able to start game 3. And he is ready to try to silence this Tiger offense that has started to wake up this weekend against the Kangaroos. This chilly Saturday afternoon, the start of Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference play. After a long slate of non-conference games, Tigers finally back in conference. And leading off after getting his first career plate appearance, because he drew a walk, so it won't go down as his first at-bat, is Max Milligan, who has a 1,000 on-base percentage for his career.
It's a pretty good thing to flaunt, Brian.
He's ahead 1 ball, no strike to start this game off. The sophomore from Amarillo. You were with us in game 1. You heard us talk about him as he came in to pinch hit. Same home as those Amarillo Sod Poodles. And one of many Tigers getting playing time after not appearing in a game last year. You think of Mike Lustina. You think of Brandon Nelson, didn't play much last year. Those are a pair of sophomores. And then really other seniors we've highlighted throughout the season, the likes of Austin Davison and Kai Tinker. People who didn't get a lot of action at the start of their careers as Tigers, but with those 10 seniors graduating, the doors have opened up. And it's what head coach Tim Scannell has been most excited about, is giving guys like Max Milligan a chance to show what they can do.
Yeah, and I think every year that we've been on the broadcast together, Brian, we've seen guys step into those roles and really take advantage of them. I think last year of Nathan Brolick, a guy who waited around until his true senior year and then stepped in, got the opportunity and made the absolute most of it. One of the best hitters for this offense, and what was a really, really potent offense last year. Now a guy like Max Milligan reaching base for a second time in as many opportunities in his entire career here this afternoon.
Yeah, Max keeping that perfect on-base percentage going, 1,000 for his career, and he gets it going quickly for Christian Holloway now stepping to the plate. He led off in the first 2 games of the series, now in the 2-hole. Junior from Brownsville waiting patiently for the pitch, and he swings past that fastball. Went 1 for 4 yesterday, 2 for 4 earlier today. That average steady, above 300. And a massive lead right now for Max Milligan. Not going anywhere yet. Holloway fouls it into the net. Gray taking that extra second or two. Forced Milligan to creep back to first, but keep an eye on him. Tigers didn't do a whole lot of running in that first game, but they have done so all year long. The 0-2, and here's a check on Milligan.
Just a little bit of a hitch in the step back to first base for Milligan. Not the most accurate throw over from Gray. A better one might have a chance. But you mentioned the fact that Gray is taking a little bit more time in his delivery to home.
And here he utilizes that time. Beautiful pitch to get Holloway swinging.
Yeah, took a while to come set right there, but gathered patiently. We'll see that check over. A little bit of a hesitation from Milligan, but gets back in there with plenty of time.
And now Nick Lazera at the plate. First time we've seen him this series, but not the first time we've seen him this year. What a start to the campaign it has been for the catcher. Another sophomore. Got a little more playing time as a freshman than some of the other sophomores we mentioned, but still now more constant that we've seen him in the lineup and behind the plate. Had 1 ball, no strike with Milligan over there at first. Waits back on an off-speed pitch. He's a little bit frustrated. Good pitch to hit. Couldn't do much with it.
And now a couple of batters in a row that we've seen spoil Gray's fastball foul in both directions. That first strike that we saw to Holloway in the last at-bat looked to have a lot of late run on it. So no surprise that these Tiger hitters are struggling to pick it up just a little bit, as he'll check on Milligan at first base yet again.
Mentioned that Tigers didn't do a whole lot of running in that first game, and the numbers really back it up. No stolen bases. Just the second time all year that the Tigers don't have a stolen base, and the runner was off with that pitch. Lazera flailing at it during the hit and run to get a piece of it foul. So don't expect the Tigers to do what they did in that first game when it comes with the stolen bases. They've had as many as 6 in a game this year. That came against Concordia. And they are near the top of the nation when it comes to stolen bases, 25th before this spring break. And I just don't think I've ever seen as big of a lead at first. Maybe we can try to show you before the next pitch or two.
I think you've noted it a couple of times. He's only taken off towards second base once. Another check over there from Gray. That one a closer play, but Milligan's still in there safely. He's really stretching it out, and you mentioned there were not a lot of opportunities to run in that first game, especially considering Lambright, a lefty on the mound. That one straight back to Gray, who knocks it down. Perhaps if he had fielded it cleanly, would have had an opportunity. Not sure if Milligan was in motion on the pitch or not. You'll see the replay. Gets enough of his glove on that one to knock it down, but still be able to recover for the out. But on top of the fact that you had a lefty on the mound in game one, Brian, this Trinity offense worked so quickly once they got runners on to first base. We saw bunts subsequently. We saw hit and runs. We saw this offense work really quickly, and there wasn't a whole lot of time for those runners in the base path to sit and wait.
Two hits earlier today, Tyler Pettit, 6 for 12 on the year. Still a very clean 500 batting average. Tried to wait on that breaking ball. It sends it straight down into the turf foul. And this is the first time that we have seen Lazera and Pettit in the game at the same time. And as Pettit missed time with his hand injury, allowing Lazera to absolutely rake in his absence, we were wondering about that, what this lineup would look like when both catchers were healthy. And part of our guesses were we would see one DH, one catch many, many times. And this is the first time we're seeing that. Tyler Pettit DHing the second game of the doubleheader.
Yeah, and it really comes as no surprise, Brian. Pettit, one of the most potent hitters in this offense. But when you have two guys that can come in, Zara being able to hit from both sides of the plate, but really the approach that they take, they're big, strong guys who have a lot of pop in their bats. But realistically, they're guys that are stepping in there trying to hit line drives. And when they consistently barrel the baseball up like they're capable of, really good things end up happening.
Pettit waiting for the 2-2 from Gray. Chops it right back to the pitcher. No, it's the catcher who will take charge, and good job by him to jump in front of the pitcher, say, I got it, I'll take care of it. And he gets the third out of the inning. So a harmless runner stays over there at second in Milligan, and Gray does a nice job to get his Kangaroos back on offense. We'll take a break on Tiger Network and be back for the second inning. First pitch of the second inning from McGahan, who did allow a hit in the first inning, but it was quickly erased by that wonderful play in right field from Ezra Gore, the throw into Harris. And he got the runner over there at third, so at least the Kangaroos have that monkey off their back. Now a ground ball to third base, handled by Holloway. Clean throw to Hastings for out number one. If you're the Kangaroos, you really want to build off of that, even though it was Woodhouse being thrown out at third, that approach, hitting it the other way with some pop to try to get something going offensively.
Absolutely. It was certainly the hardest hit ball from this Austin College offense that we've seen today. And considering the fact that they only came into today's doubleheader with one hit to show for yesterday's action. It's likely the hardest hit ball that they've had across the last 2 days and in these 3 games. But I think you're exactly right, Brian. You want to see that approach continue, waiting back on the baseball, allowing it to get deep and trying to go the other way, especially considering the way that Jackson Tier threw in the first game, utilizing his breaking ball. And right now, looks like Cade McGahan's able to do the same, working with all of his pitches. We see a couple of beautiful off-speed balls in a row to get another strikeout.
McGahan, the senior from North Carolina, stands in at 6 feet tall. A very unique path to get to where he's been, as he allows a ground ball to second base. Harris has it and gets the third out, so we'll have to keep that story as McGahan keeps dealing from the mound. Doesn't give us much time to talk, and a smile from his catcher, Lazera. It's been all smiles for the Tigers this weekend. 0-0 headed to the bottom of the second.
Leading off for the Tigers, left fielder number 4, Ezra Gore.
Garrett Gray working in a 0-0 ball game. Tigers up to bat for the second time. Strike delivered to Ezra Gore, whose power bat is starting to show up once again. 2 for 3 in the previous game, 4 runs batted in. And it's really been the whole weekend story for Ezra Gore, who takes ball 1 low. Last night, he went 2 for 3 again, scored 3 times instead of driving them in. But one way or another, when Ezra Gore is in the game, something is happening. Always action. Here, he grounds it. Great stop at third, and the throw a little wild, but saved over there at first by Ballard, as Hosmer made the tough stop at the hot corner.
Yeah, great play by Hosmer over there at third base. This one, a little bit of a wonky swing from Gore. Certainly in the top half of the zone, potentially even a little higher than that. Ezra doing a nice job to go up, put barrel on that baseball, and a real hot shot over there to third base. But again, smothered by Hosmer. Got up, threw it a little hastily. So Ballard doing well to stop that one, get his foot back on the bag to make sure that Gore wasn't on as a leadoff runner, because as you mentioned, when Ezra's out there on the field, typically good things are happening for this Trinity team. He certainly has a ton of speed to get things started on the base paths.
Montreza fouling one off his foot. Takes a painful walk back to the back of the backstop, now slowly making his way into the batter's box. It is 49 degrees in San Antonio. Very unusual day that just keeps getting colder as it goes along. The sun still has not made its way out. And we are inside. Sometimes a positive thing when it's this cold. We would prefer to be outside, of course, watching the game. But here we are inside watching Montreza, who is wishing he wouldn't have fouled it off, because that has to be even more painful in a game like this.
Absolutely. We did get the chance to go visit out on the field in between action. But I think the 15 minutes or so that we spent out there was plenty for myself. Brian, I don't know what you would say. Certainly would love to be outside. I think we got just enough of the weather, at least for my liking.
The 2-2 on the way to Montreza, outside for ball 3. You know, Cole Isaacson, who has been in your spot alongside me this year, he and I, before the season got going, were here for the Winter World Series, and we didn't broadcast that on Tiger Network, but we did a little bit of a mock broadcast as Montreza flicks it to center field. Brandon Hill there for the catch. But we sat right behind home plate, where you see there's a camera with a plastic bag around it to protect it from the rain. We were right there, and we called the game as if we were on air to get things going. He is a freshman who had never done a game before, so he wanted to get the feel for it. And it was very cold. It was in the low 50s, I think, that night, and we were out there for all 9 innings. We survived. I think we could do it, Luke.
I think we could. I'm just not sure I would want to. In the comfort of the Bell Center right now with our gorgeous multi-camera setup, we can hear Ryan Cedillo in the other room play his music and his outrageous bursts every now and then. And I would certainly miss that. It's something that I could live without, but if I've had to go as long as I have without Ryan in my life, Brian, I've been away from the broadcast as I overhear him now in the background. I don't want to have to go sit outside and miss out on my ample time with Ryan Cedillo down here.
That is very fair. And every now and then with the outburst is generous there. Very kind of you to give him that benefit of the doubt. Corson Hastings looks at the 2-1 pitch outside, ball 3, Gray. The senior who has started pretty much from the moment he got onto campus in Sherman. Coach Counts knew he was going to pitch one way or another tonight. It was just a matter of if they needed him for game 1 or in the second game. Misses with ball 4 to Hastings, so the San Antonio native takes the free base. For Gray, that experience, something that has been lacking on this Austin College roster. Always like to ask the coaches, what have you been happiest with? And where do you see the biggest room for improvement for your team? Pretty much back-to-back. I feel like it's a good way to get a sense for what the coaches feel about their team. And we already shared the answer of what he's been happiest with, the grit and the competition, even when they get down, never really feeling out of a ball game. But where he sees the most improvement is just simply the youth getting more experience. And we shared a little tidbit of that, saying that believes the right guys are here, they just need more reps. But Gray, someone who has had plenty of reps, and he is showing it today. 2 clean innings. Retires Harris on the ground ball to third, and it's looking good for the senior from Forney, Texas.
Leading off for the Kangaroos, third baseman number 7, Scott Osborne.
Zeros on the board from both sides. Cade McGahan and Garrett Gray. First pitch from McGahan in the third inning, a strike. Got Scott Hosmer at the plate. He and Mason Woodhouse, the two freshmen last year that were all conference members, now stepping up as leaders on the team. Hosmer falls behind. No balls, 2 strikes as McGahan works quickly, gets a little chopper right back to him, takes his time and makes the throw to first. McGahan did not start the year as a starter. He came in relief of Jack Martinez in that Birmingham Southern series. And what an impression he made right away. 4 2/3 innings, just 2 hits allowed, no runs against truly one of the best offenses in the country, those Birmingham Southern Panthers. And ever since then, Cade has earned a spot in the rotation and has just kept the bats quiet at every turn. Mentioned that ERA just over 1. Tries to loop in a breaking ball there.
He's a really interesting guy, and this class, true seniors here at Trinity, class of 23, is one that we mentioned some other names like Austin Davison, Kai Tinker, Cedric Bowman, has had to wait their turns to find a role. And Cade has been much the same over the last couple of years, has seen some time on the mound, has filled in some innings when it's needed. But here this season, he's really started to grab this opportunity, take it by the reins, and he's now starting to really run with it. You mentioned coming into that Birmingham Southern game, but since then has been really phenomenal, and he's taken this same approach as guys like Shavana and Tier, and he's attacked the strike zone. He misses just low with another really nice breaking ball right there that sends the count to 3-2. But so far this afternoon, he's again pitching to contact and forces the issue right there, but a nice piece of hitting for Austin College. That time it was Smith, I believe, sending that one back through the middle. Getting some work done for the bottom third of this lineup, hoping to turn it over for the top of the order here in the top of the third inning.
Just the 14th at-bat all year for Greg Smith, the catcher from Mont Belvieu, Texas. And he gets his second base hit of his season and of the game for Austin College. So, in just the third inning, they have passed their production from the previous 2 games combined. Little sacrifice bunt here, moves the runner to second. So doing a job there is Kaysen. And the top of the order now will get to do some damage with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, not something that you see very frequently with 1 out on the board already. The sac bunt fielded well by McGahan right there, understanding that if he can do his job just the way he did, he's going to have 2 outs on the board and just needs 1 more to get back into the dugout. Nice first pitch right there to Hill, misses just down and away from the 1-hole hitter in this one.
Able to lay off of it there is Hill, who has been in center field all 3 games now. And although it's been a quiet offensive production weekend for him and the rest of the Kangaroos before this series, he was raking. If he gets ahead in the count, 3 balls, no strikes. He was hitting .308 with a home run. Got his first career home run against Blackburn a few weeks ago. And he hit .306 last year in 34 games. So he has really become a consistent threat in this Austin lineup. Takes ball 4 outside. And the Kangaroos, for really the first time all day, and for just the second or third time all series, threatening to score a run in the top of the third.
You mentioned how well he was hitting coming into this weekend. Really no surprise that he was that 3-hole hitter for this Austin College team as early as game 1 of this doubleheader. So not a shock to see McGahan be real patient in that at-bat. Runner in scoring position, didn't have the force outs on the base paths that he does now with runners on first and second, coming right at Vrizel, needing just that 1 out to get out of the inning.
Close call goes the way of Branson Vrazel, senior in this lineup of freshmen that we've talked so much about, highlighting the youth movement that Austin College is undergoing. But Branson Vrazel has been in this lineup from start to finish. Looks at a strike, so behind in the count now with 2 runners on and 2 away in the top of the 3rd. But Coach Sean Counts describing him with one word: grit. What he brings to this lineup is grit. Very meaningful experience and leadership. Gets a piece of this to keep this at-bat going. Can only imagine what a run here would do for Austin College's confidence. Haven't scored all weekend. Maybe just one is all they need to see the run in the box score. And they nearly get it, but Cade McGahan puts his glove up and makes a spectacular catch. And he can't help but smile and salute his catcher, Lazera. That's pretty much all reflex, but he'll take plenty of credit for it, of course. Look at it. Vrazel drilling it. But McGahan was ready.
Man, you could hear the dugout get real loud in reaction to that. And as you walked off, you could see him couldn't help but break into a little bit of a smile right there. Some hooting, some hollering, and some laughs even from his pitching coach, Dave Smith, as he ventured back into the dugout. But a big, big play right there to keep things clean and give the offense the opportunity to grab the lead here.
Garrett Gray has been matching McGahan so far. He'll try to keep it up after this brief break on Tiger Network.
Leading off for the Tigers, center fielder number 24, Jack Peterson. I'm going to go ball here.
Bunt shown, then pulled back by Jack Peterson to start this bottom of the 3rd. Tigers with no hits in the bottom of the 3rd. Here's a ground ball towards the right side. Jack Peterson takes care of that just like that. Went hitless in game 1 of this doubleheader, and he decides to change it right away.
Yeah, and a nice piece, wasting absolutely no time right here. Fastball over the heart of the plate, jumps way out in front of it, pulls it hard past the first baseman. Good start, a big physical guy, as you can tell from that replay right there. And someone that we talked about in game 1 of the doubleheader is having great speed out there in the base paths. So the threat of a stolen base already present here in the bottom of the 3rd for the home team.
And will it be the same scenario that happened the last time he reached base to start an inning? We called him the Chaos Creator. He got on with a walk, and as the number 9 hitter turned the lineup over for the big bopping bats of the Tiger lineup, and they ended up scoring 5 runs in that inning. Peterson ended up hitting twice because of that inning. And so here, he gets on base with a hit, and the top of the order is due up. Max Milligan, the hitter, he took a walk in his last plate appearance, so his 2 plate appearances have been walks, and there goes Peterson. A good throw, but it's off the glove of Woodhouse, and it's a stolen base for Peterson. 9 for 9 is Jack Peterson.
And it was a strong throw from Smith right there. A good pitch for a catcher to throw on. Took him into that opposite batter's box on that fastball. Came up firing, and it was just too much speed from Peterson right there. Was in there ahead of the throw, even though it did end up getting dropped by the middle infielder. So now Milligan, even though he's in a 3-0 count and hasn't really had the opportunity to swing it this afternoon, might just get the chance. Maybe not.
I think that the fortune has been told. I don't think Max Milligan will ever swing. I think he will only draw walks and just have a 1,000 on-base percentage for the rest of his career.
I don't think that this Trinity coaching staff could be upset if he played a lot and retained that statistic. If he became an everyday guy and he walked in practically every at-bat from here on out, who could complain?
Not the Trinity coaches, not Max Milligan, and not Christian Holloway, who now has an opportunity with 2 Tigers on. Looks willing to bunt to sacrifice the runners over. No runs on the board for Trinity yet, so they're looking to get those runners into scoring position. Peterson at second, Milligan at first. Gray checks on the runner. No bunt shown this time. Instead, a hack on one that almost hit Holloway.
It looked
Runners
like
were going.
Hit and run right there. Holloway forced to swing the bat. A little reminiscent of that swing that we saw from Ezra Gore earlier today. A pitch that was running in, looked like it was almost going to hit him. Instead, he turned on it and sent it into left field. Christian Holloway trying his best to do the same right there.
Gray has to be careful with Peterson. You see him bouncing off of second, not going anywhere yet. And it's tight on Holloway. 2 balls, 1 strike.
It's a really good pitch right there. Just not a spot that we've seen hit by either pitcher, either pitching staff all day today. It's the umpire not giving Gray the benefit of the doubt.
Back pick on Peterson. He's well in time. You can hear the back calls from the Tiger dugout, active even if you're not in the game. Now the runners are off. Peterson, the excellent jump, and not even a throw. 10 for 10 is Jack Peterson in stolen base attempts this year. Meanwhile, Max Milligan, 1 for 1. So now another category in which he's 100% in. And it's just the perfect pitch, an off-speed delivery from Gray. And now Holloway, the 3-1 grounded towards third, foul. And it's a Trinity offense, as we talked about yesterday and highlighted earlier today, the bunts and the sacrifice flies. Even if the power isn't there, even if those home runs are missing from last year's lineup, they're finding ways to score in unique fashion. And Peterson, one of the main guys when it comes to the base pass, and Holloway looks at one outside, comes all the way back in that at-bat, and the bases loaded for the Tigers in the bottom of the third, nobody out, and Nick Lazera, the big bopper, coming to bat.
Yeah, Brian, this is a team that's doing so many of the little facets of the game so well right now. We've seen the bunting, we've seen speed on the base paths. Obviously the power's missing, but you know it's going to come along eventually. There's too many big bats in this lineup that have the capacity to leave the yard. So when all of those things really start to come together, it's an offense that you absolutely know is going to click and hum and be really, really dangerous the rest of the way.
And Lazera, one of those that has gotten the ball out of the ballpark. 2 home runs against Birmingham Southern in the opening weekend. And it is important to note that his French Bulldog, Frank, is in the building. Looks at Lazera, chopping it to short. The flip to second, and the throw to first gets Lazera in time. But Frank will be happy to know that a run is driven in. Despite that double play, Trinity 1, Austin 0.
And a nice delivery from Gray right here. Great movement down and away from the left-handed Lazera. Seen it a couple of times already this afternoon. Pitch that looks like it's over the heart of the plate, forcing the hands of these Tiger hitters. And then it runs just enough out of the bat path to induce some softer contact. That time, a really, really nice double play ball set up for the middle infielders, especially for a guy in Lazera who doesn't run as fast as some members of this Trinity offense.
Pettit, the grounder to third. Once again, Hosmer looking good over there in a position Austin struggled with yesterday, but it's looked a lot better today. Their defense at large has looked really on point today. And for Garrett Gray, just about the best case scenario, bases loaded, nobody out. The 3-4 hitter is up for Trinity, and he only allows 1 run, Luke.
Yeah, and it's again because of what he's used in his repertoire today. He has great movement on the ball. In this Trinity offense, just hasn't been able to create consistent hard contact. He's started the ball over the middle of the plate, and again, he's gotten run just far enough off that Trinity and this offense has been able to put the ball in play, but not in really meaningful, dangerous capacities to this point.
And I think it's a perfect example of what Coach Counts talked to me about before the game after the 10-0 loss yesterday, saying that it was a classic case of them beating themselves. They gave up 15 walks, and he said Trinity didn't really hit the ball well. They didn't have these highlight type at-bats that resulted in line drives everywhere around the field. He just thought the walks and the errors defensively hurt them. And what he has said is that this year they haven't been able to put all 3 facets of the game in one solo game. When they hit well, their pitching gives up a lot of runs. When they pitch well, the hitting is non-existent. Or when they are pitching relatively well and get weak contact, their defense has let them down, but he thinks that's all a part of the inexperience. So far today, after 2 double-digit losses, they've responded well in this final game of the series.
Absolutely, Brian. But you look at the flip side, Trinity's a team that walked a ton in the game yesterday, maybe not as much in game 2 of the series, but they've done so many other things well. They were patient at the plate yesterday to draw those walks. This afternoon, they've bunted well, put the pressure on pitcher and catcher to make the plays, make strong throws over to first. Here this afternoon, they've run well on the base paths to put them in position to score runs even when they aren't hitting the ball consistently. And they're 2-0 in this series already, and now they have a lead, even though they were threatening for a little bit more in the bottom half of last inning.
Slider slides way out of there for McGahan. Strikeout number 3 as he gets his 4th inning going with a bang. McGahan mentioned he didn't start the year as a starter, but once he did, he was ready because he always is ready, as he has told me. What gets him so prepared is that he does things in his mind thousands of times. He visualizes himself doing things well as he forces a grounder to Holloway. Strong throw to Hastings for out number 2. But by doing things in his head over and over, when he gets in the actual moment and is having to throw a pitch in a key moment, or when he has to get that 1 out or 1 strike, he's done it before, just in his mind. And that is what he says keeps him calm and collected, never showing like he's breaking a sweat.
Yeah, and if you ever question his mental toughness, I certainly would not, because he's out there in this sub-50-degree weather, the only player on the field without any long sleeves on, and he hasn't been phased at all, absolutely continuing to hum along. Been superb this afternoon, even though he misses just off the plate with that breaking ball. But it's another aspect of these guys who they've been in the program for a long time. They learn these tips and tricks and what works the best for them. And he's someone that has it, for lack of a better term, down to a science for himself. And it's really working here this afternoon.
Foul ball from Ballard takes the count even. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Logan Ballard making his first start of the year. Senior from Hutto, Texas. Trying to break the rhythm of McGahan. Able to foul it off, so he'll stay in the batter's box. Trinity Tower sounding in the background, alerting us of the 5 o'clock hour. But Ballard not phased at all. He'll keep it going and force McGahan to throw another pitch. These Austin College at-bats in Game 3 have been more patient, more battle style than we've seen in the first two. And it continues, a very close take from Ballard, and he nods his head, agreeing with the call, full count. McGahan goes with the breaking ball, and Ballard is not fooled at all. You're hearing a little bit of it, the Austin College dugout, with every pitch and every foul ball. Gaining more and more energy. Can Ballard keep it going? Puts it foul, and they love it. Just a fighter right now. Even have to get more baseballs to the umpire because of how many he has sent to foul territory.
Yeah, and this one being drawn out a little bit longer than I think McGahan was hoping for. A really nice 2-2 delivery with that fastball on the outside part of the plate. It was called a ball, but doesn't matter. Has himself pumped up as he blows the fastball by Ballard that time. Wasn't touching it to prolong that at bat. And again, you see the Tigers popping out of the dugout, everyone fired up, even in the cold.
Immediately tossed his jacket to keep warm. Hope you're keeping warm as well and enjoying this one. Bottom of the 4th after this break.
Leading off for the Tigers, right fielder number 4, Ezra Gore.
Ezra Gore leading off the bottom of the 4th. Strike 1 delivered by Garrett Gray, who was at risk of losing it all in the last inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Nick Lazera at the plate, but he induced a double play that scored just 1 and then got Pettit to ground out softly to 3rd. Really all he could have hoped for and more to keep himself in the game and keep his team in the game. An offense that has struggled all weekend long, hasn't even put up a run. A deficit that was severely large early on would probably kill their mantra and their whole mojo over there. So sticking it to just a 1-run deficit, really important for Gray.
Especially with some of the fight that we saw in the last half inning. Ballard to end things, even though McGahan ultimately got the strikeout. Gore tries to flip the momentum back in the way of Trinity, continues his hot hitting day. It was a better offensive fight than we've seen out of this team all day long. A long, nearly 10-pitch at bat out of Ballard. Hopefully for Austin College will carry over into these subsequent innings.
Michael Montreza stepping to the plate. Runner going, bunt also shown, but Gore says, hey, Jack, you've gotten too many stolen bases this week. Need to catch back up with you. Gore now 8 for 8 in stolen base attempts, so 2 away from catching back up with Jack Peterson. and he gives Montreza a runner in scoring position. Still nobody out in the bottom of the fourth. Woodhouse checking in on Gore, but now backs up, gets in position, and not going to be in position to get that one. Gore will scurry in. No, he will tap on the brakes late there. He was rounding third, heading for home. And then Waters put up the stop sign, so runners at the corners after the Michael Montreza single to left.
Interesting decision to hold Gore at third base right there, especially after he pretty easily took second. Has great speed out there on the base paths. Maybe just a little bit more traffic will create some more for Gray to think about. But also, you look at the flip side of it, you bring Gore around, play at the plate, also gives you the opportunity to have Montreza advance out to second. But in either circumstance, you'll have first and third for Trinity with no one down here in the bottom of the fourth. So I think if you're the Tiger offense, you're pretty happy with where you're at.
Montreza took off initially, now hops back to first as Corson Hastings takes ball one. Hastings came in last night to play defense at first. Walked his first time up today. Looks at one low for strike one. Graves done a nice job keeping things low in the zone. Having to maneuver this runners at the corner situation. Nobody out for the 7, 8, 9 hitters due up. Gray taking his time. Montreza, a couple steps, and Hastings a base hit down the line. Gore scores easily. Montreza pulls into third, and that's an RBI double for Corson Hastings.
And a great piece of hitting from Hastings right there. Again, we see the run on the fastball from Gray, but it took that one from the heart of the plate and pushed it a little bit to that outer edge. Hastings waiting back really, really well on it. Went back to left field, kept it fair. And it was enough to bring Gore home, get Montreza all the way over to third, and put himself on second base. So things continue to threaten here in the bottom of the fourth.
Here you're getting a look at the previous at-bat before the RBI double, Montreza's single. I think we're going to get a look at how Coach Waters was swinging his arm around initially to get Gore to score, but then put the break sign up, and it all ended up working out for the Tigers as they now have runners on second and third, still nobody out. And Gray, after a visit to the mound by his coach, will have to get things going, or else his game at risk of getting out of hand once again. Colt Harris will be the Tiger at the plate. First pitch swinging, a chopper to the drawn-in infield. Woodhouse takes care of it, and that's a big first out for Gray. Very aggressive move in the fourth inning to pull the infield in, but an Austin College team that has not scored all weekend, they really cannot afford to give up more runs.
Yeah, no opportunity for a double play ball because of Hastings' good base running, winding up on second base. I think a little bit more incentive to draw the infield in at that point. So important to get that first out. We'll see how they'll continue to play things here.
First pitch strike to Jack Peterson. Single to right in his first at-bat. Has Montreza at third, Hastings at second. Pitch from Gray, low, fouled back. So Gray ahead in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. He's gone with the off-speed stuff when he gets in a situation like this. Infield still in with 1 out. Peterson, a very fast runner. Anything into play, a danger. Here comes the 0-2, a breaking ball lifted to left field. Not very deep. Vrazel charging in, making the throw home. Montreza safe, and the throw to third gets away, so now Hastings will come around to score. 4-0 lead on a disastrous throw for Austin College. Gray battling so hard to get out of this inning unscathed, and just like that, the lead doubled up.
And something that we talked about in the first action here today, just putting the ball in play to force the issue, make the defense play clean. Nice grab out there in left field, coming up with a strong throw. Montreza was probably never in the realm of possibility, but trying to get Hastings at third base resulted in that ball getting away, and he was able to scramble home to score a 4th run for the Tigers.
Now it'll be Max Milligan. Has a strike thrown in on him. We'll see if he gets to swing the bat. 2 walks today, a walk in game 1. And he swings past that one high. 1-2 the count. It's 4-0 Trinity now, with 2 outs away in the bottom of the 4th. That one way high. Milligan able to lay off. Gets away from Gray. Full count for the walk master. Can he do it again for a 4th straight time to start his career? Full count delivery. Strike 3 called. Nearly had it for Milligan, but Gray does get the 3rd out. Not before the Tigers extend their lead to 4-0 over the Kangaroos. We'll take a brief break, and you'll want to come back after this. We've got some special surprises on the way. Welcome back to Tiger Network. Trinity 4, Austin College 0. It's been a masterful pitching weekend for the Trinity Tigers, and it all got started last night with Joseph Shavana. 7 innings, a career-high 11 strikeouts, just 1 hit allowed. And we have Joe right here with us on the broadcast. Welcome to Tiger Network, Joe.
As I was last year.
Great to have you to watch your fellow pitching mate, Cade McGahan.
Yeah, I mean, it's great watching Cade. I mean, you know, I've thrown with him this whole year, and just the gains we both made throwing with each other and seeing them, you know, on the field, it's insane.
And what's insane is the start that you have had to the year, and especially the performance yesterday. I mean, 11 strikeouts against this Austin College team. Tom's grounding it to short, throw off the mark for Montreza, so a lead-off base runner for Austin College. But you've had 11 strikeouts twice in your career, Joe, and I don't know if you know that both times have been against Austin College. What were you feeling good yesterday with this Kangaroo lineup?
You know, so the day before, you know, our pitching coach and I, we just talked about going through a plan and what we wanted to do, and I kind of just felt that, you know, fastball slider was the way to go yesterday, and I just rolled with it. I mean, it felt good coming out of the hand. You know, I was able to just throw it without thinking about it. So, you know, I think it was just having that conviction behind each throw that really made each pitch special and, you know, allowed me to get 11 Ks last night. So, yeah.
McGahan checks on the runner, Tom's here. Hosmer at the plate behind 0-1. Not a lot of traffic with you on the mound yesterday. Just that one hit in the first inning. Although if there's any mistake that you did make, it was that throw to first. I know they gave you a hard time about it.
Yeah, I mean, so we were talking about that today. It felt like the first game, there was probably at least 5 comebackers to the pitcher. And I know this game, there's been at least 2. So I was just saying how they've been putting a PFB pitching clinic up here for me today to watch and learn after throwing the ball 10 feet over Kai's head. Yeah, that was, as soon as I threw that ball, I knew it was gone. Just no going back.
That error aside, though, we saw it a lot with Jackson Tier today, the no-hitter. And he will also join us after we talk to you, Joe. But it's been a big emphasis, I know, for this pitching staff to not just pitch, but do everything that goes along with it. Talk to me a little bit about all that's gone into pickoff throws and fielding your position.
Yeah, so I'd say last year, it was, can we throw a strike? Can we get the ball out of the zone? Whereas now it's a little more refined. It's, can we tunnel each pitch to where we want it to be? And ultimately, can we help ourselves by making those plays? It's like, obviously, I didn't help myself that first throw. And, we have a plan each day to see what we're working on. And I know on Thursday, we did PFPs out in center field because we couldn't in the infield. And, it's just turning the pitching staff into something different this year as it's a completely different team. So
Toms takes second here with the stolen base. 1 out away in the inning after Hosmer flew out to right. Throw got away from Harris there, but not able to advance much further. You see the throw here from Lazera. A little bobble at first. Maybe a catch there. Could get him, but it would have been close either way for the freshman Toms. Now a ball delivered to Smith, the catcher. But you mentioned how new the pitching staff is. It really has been almost a complete turnover. You became that starter as the year went along, and you've continued your track there. But other than that, I mean, just new names everywhere you turn, and new results too. We've talked about it all year on Tiger Network. A 6.27 team ERA last year, the highest since 1999 for Trinity. And now it's plummeting to under 3 with the performances y'all have put on. What mindset has shifted as that performance has improved?
I mean, I think at the beginning of the year, last fall, it started with, just lifts and team captain practice. So there we saw a lot of the group leaders really making sure that the younger guys would show up to lifts on time. They'd go through the lift and do it right. So I think that translated really well into going to practice, doing the little things right. And then, one of the questions that we were asked by our pitching coach was, how do we want the team culture, or the pitching staff culture, to change? And what do we want teams to think of us when they see us, whether we win or lose? And so we just wanted them to see, like, we're a team that's going to go out there, and our pitching staff is going to throw each pitch, like wanting to execute it and just allowing it to do its job. So I think just everyone, I think the pitching staff buying into the plan is what's really made this year different.
Getting a look at another comebacker, which you talked about as you joined us, but then right afterwards, a little ground ball to short that the runner was able to beat out at first. Kaysen, the speedy new addition into the Austin College lineup, beat out the throw, and for the first time all weekend, the Kangaroos on the board with a run. 4-1 the advantage for Trinity as McGahan pitches to the leadoff hitter, Brandon Hill. A burst of energy out of the Austin College dugout that has been quiet offensively. Maybe that'll give him a little bump in the right direction. McGahan misses with a breaking ball, 2-0. Is it weird for you to ever step into this perspective and see, I know you're right there on the field normally, but to see this broadcast view and see how your fellow pitcher's doing?
I actually love it from here because I can see every single angle of Cade right now, like from behind him, a little bit off to the side, right off to the side, in front of him. I don't know, I just find it fascinating watching all these camera angles at one time.
And the Kangaroos finding this inning fascinating. Brandon Hill splits the gap. The relay throw home, not in time. Austin College on the board with 2 runs thanks to a Brandon Hill RBI double, scoring Smith from first. So you look at this swing from Hill, Joe. What do you think about that pitch allowed it to be so hittable?
I just stayed up in the zone too long. I mean, I don't remember what the count was, but at any given point, a curveball that high up, it's going to give the hitter a good chance to put a barrel on it or do some damage with it. So I think that's something that we've worked on and we're still working on, just keeping everything at the knees and, you know, working in and out, not leaving anything down the heart of the plate.
The 2 runs force a pitching visit from pitching coach Dave Smith, who you've alluded to a couple of times. Be honest, what is the feeling when you see your pitching coach coming out to talk to you? Because sometimes it's in a tough situation. So what goes on?
You know, with Dave, I never know what's going on. Like, some days he'll just make a joke and be like, all right, well, now that I got you to laugh, like, let's get out of the inning. It's really just when I see Coach Gano come up, that's when I'm like, oh, okay. It's that type of day. So, but no, they're both usually very encouraging or honest of what they see, which is, you know, what you need to get out of an inning or to keep going. So, yeah, I mean, I typically don't ever mind when they come up for a mound visit.
McGahan there, a little frustrated with the call on the check swing. He thought that Vrazel went around, asked for the check from the field umpire, but still no go for him. So it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Austin College fighting back in this one, and Vrazel shows bunt with 2 outs and a runner on second. Curious decision there, but he pulls it back ahead in the count, 2-1. Through 2 games in this series, 14 innings, Austin College, 0 runs. In 4 2/3, they've got 2. And a good swing, but a foul ball from Vrazel. So this Austin College lineup waking up at the end of this series in a very chilly afternoon in San Antonio. You see the people who are brave enough to still be outside bundled up. They've got their umbrellas out because it's been raining on and off. Breaking ball sent the other way. Vrazel, a base hit to right field. Hill comes around to score, and the Kangaroos are within 1. And here's a second visit to the mound, signaling a change. Cade McGahan gives up 3 runs in this inning, responsible for the runner at first. And the Kangaroos putting bat to ball. I know you're typically pitching the first game of a series, at least the last couple of seasons now. But the 3rd game can be so tough mentally, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pitching the first game and coming out the next day knowing we have a doubleheader. That's hard just standing there, knowing I have nothing to do with the game. So I can't imagine what it's like having to play 18 innings in one game, especially knowing you're starting that second game, having to sit through 9 or 7 innings in this case. I mean, I don't know how they do that, how Cade does it. But yeah, a lot of respect for him being able to do that. That's tough to do, just sitting out there waiting for your turn.
So a pitching change made as Austin College strikes for 3, and we'll stick with you during this break. And we've gotten some feedback, Joe, on some of the things we've said during your start. So now we get to ask you directly. We've talked about how you take guitar on Fridays in the morning, but yesterday you didn't have guitar because it's spring break. So did you play the guitar anyway?
I actually did before the game. I opened up my journal with the notes that I've been trying to learn how to play. I know 2 really short versions of a song, or songs that I've never heard of, but I don't know, something about it's just gets my mind away from baseball because, well, the last thing I want to do is think about baseball 2-3 hours in advance of a game. So I don't know, but maybe I shouldn't go to class on Friday. And you know, I didn't go to class this Friday and I had a great outing, so
I don't know if that's the message we get from it. I think the message is you played the guitar, which you would do at class, right? So
You're right. You're right. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out.
we are not endorsing not going to class. We're endorsing playing guitar to get your mind off things.
No, we are. It definitely was that. I do like I said, playing guitar. I mean, that class is at 8:30 in the morning, but I don't miss it. I don't plan on missing it. It's nice just, you know, working on something, like I said, something completely out of the game of baseball. Yeah, start my day off right.
Michael Bokey, the new pitcher on the mound for the Tigers. Misses with ball 1 to Mason Woodhouse, who got it all going, not necessarily in this inning, but just the offensive effort for Austin College. That double in the first inning, despite being thrown out at third, have to imagine it just helped the Kangaroo offense feel more confident in themselves. And they are within 1 of the Tigers. We have Joseph Shavana with us in the booth, watching the Tigers try to hold on to this lead. Bokey, the breaking ball, gets weak contact. Harris has it underneath it, and that's out number 3. So the Kangaroos scored 3 to make it a 1-run ball game, and we are headed to the bottom of the 5th inning. Joseph Shavana, thank you for joining us on Tiger Network. It's always a joy to get to talk to you, and I hope you keep enjoying, and we get to keep doing this as the season goes along.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, so we'll be back on Tiger Network. We have Joseph Shavana, and in a little bit, we'll have Jackson Tier joining us. So 2 pitchers for 2 games.
Awesome.
Time for the bottom of the 5th on Tiger Network. Tigers 4, Kangaroos 3. Christian Holloway will be the leadoff hitter, and Garrett Gray has to be feeling a whole lot better about his chances now that his offense has put up 3 runs. So he'll try to keep this offense down. Holloway, though, saying not so fast. A single into left field to start things off. And in the last half inning, Joseph Shavana was with us. Kangaroos scored 3 runs. We'll see what the Tigers do on offense as Jackson Tier, no hitter thrown in game 1 of this doubleheader, and now he joins us on Tiger Network. What an honor for us, and I'm sure you're feeling good about today so far, Jackson.
Yeah, I'm just in shock. Absolutely unbelievable. Couldn't have done it without the offense, and I couldn't have done it with all the help I had behind me. And also a piece that doesn't really get talked about as much, but our bullpen's energy. It's so great hearing all that feedback.
It's interesting you say that, because between games, I was talking with Luke Terry, who was with us for the beginning of this game and the first game, saying, poor bullpen. They're not doing anything today. They didn't throw for Shavana's game yesterday. They didn't throw for yours, so they're in the cold, waiting out there. But in your opinion, they've really helped you out.
Yeah, I believe so. Even if they aren't able to get out there, they definitely do have a huge impact on the game.
Very cool to hear that perspective. And the Tigers did have to go to their bullpen in the top half of this inning, so we'll see some relievers. As Lazera takes ball 1, 1 ball, 1 strike count. Garrett Gray has worked around some trouble, gave up 3 runs in the last inning, but has kept it close enough to allow his offense to climb back into it. Lazera grounded into a double play his last time up with the bases loaded, so a run did come across, but it helped Gray keep it at this 1-run game. Lazera has to tiptoe around that one. But Jackson, I know with these run rules that you've had, It's not the 9 innings, but as soon as the Tigers scored their 10th run in the inning before that last, did you think about it saying, all I need is 3 more outs, or were you trying to keep it out of your mind?
At first, I was trying to keep it out of my mind, but about the second I stood on the mound, I definitely knew what was at stake. I definitely got nervous on that second out as well. I saw it up in the air, and I knew that was, if it was caught, that was it, which Ezra made a great play to get it.
Yeah, it was kind of similar to this ball we see off of the bat of Lazera. This one hit a little bit harder, but it looked like it was going to get down, except this time around it was the Austin College right fielder Kaysen getting to it and forcing Holloway back. But I think we felt it here too. That ball hung up forever. It just wouldn't drop.
Yeah, it felt like forever. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was so ecstatic when I saw it hit his glove.
Tyler Pettit at the plate now, 1 away in the bottom of the 5th. Jackson Tier with us after throwing a no-hitter against these Kangaroos. You're getting to know all these teams for the first time, having transferred from A&M Kingsville. First time in conference play. You might think it's pretty easy ride.
No, definitely not. You can see the competition anywhere. I just think we just had a great game plan going against them, and I think we executed very well.
Was there anything in particular going into today that you wanted to be sure to do, or was it just same old that's been working for you this year?
Basically just the same. I just wanted to make sure I was challenging them and not giving them any free bags, because I mean, as a pitcher, all you got to do is throw it over the plate, and you know, if they hit it, that's just they did their job correctly. So all I can do is just do my job correctly.
Yeah, you did walk 1 batter. That's what made it not a perfect game. But I know we've talked about how important it is to you to throw strikes and force the hitters to actually put it into play. Pettit puts this one into play, a slow chopper. Tough play for Toms, but he makes it. Great job by him charging, as that one looked like it bounced off the glove of Gray. We'll get a look at it here. Maybe hitting his leg. Yep, that's what it did. Hit his foot on the way out. But that 1 walk put you at 6 now for the year. Now 29 innings thrown. That's a pretty good ratio, and it shows that you're doing what you want.
Yes, that's always been one of the biggest goals of mine. I just think keeping a low walk count is all you can ask for.
Breaking ball outside to Ezra Gore. Now Joe got to see fellow pitcher on the mound in the broadcast booth. You're getting to watch the offense hit. What is this perspective like for you? You've never joined us on Tiger Network.
I have never. It's honestly unbelievable, all the angles, and I think it really appreciates. It really lets you appreciate how hard a hitter's job really is, especially watching it from this view.
As Rigor typically makes it look a little bit easier than it really is. Flies out to center field, and that'll be the end of the inning. But that was a quick one, so I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily, Jackson. After that half inning, we'll stick around with you. And we put Luke to the test today because he's also from San Antonio, and he had a wrong answer on his favorite breakfast taco. You had the really good one. You want to know where he said?
Where?
Las Palapas.
Nope.
Nope, right?
Nope.
Bill Miller's is where it's at.
Bill Miller's is the way to go.
Now, there was a secondary answer, though, from you. Bill Miller and Taco Taco.
Yes.
And Taco Taco right here on the campus of Trinity University, but you were an original fan even before stepping foot on campus.
Of course. When I was a kid, my grandma lived she lived right around there, and we would go there anytime we went to go see her. They have great breakfast tacos.
Lucky to have it here on campus, and it's just a couple of blocks away to their original location. But another big part of you coming home and getting to pitch for your hometown team has been that your family can watch you. And now that you've pitched several times, is it the same excitement that you had going into your first start of having your family getting to watch you?
Oh, definitely. It's always great having them there. I can always get that little support coming from the stands from them. I always know I can count on them.
Now, I have to ask, though, since they're here, do they ever go back and watch the broadcast so that they hear what we say about
time.
You? Yeah?
They listen to it every night.
Good or bad comments?
Good comments,
okay.
Always.
Hope so. And it's almost as if we write the script on these things, which I promise we don't, even though pitching coach Dave Smith came into me today and said that I had planned the guitar comments from Joseph yesterday. I promise you I really don't plan things out. But Michael Bokey on the mound, also from San Antonio, And we've talked about this story in the past, but now we get your real perspective live. He's been one of the biggest factors in you feeling comfortable in this Trinity pitching staff and just at Trinity in general, right?
100%. He was the first person I met, so he definitely had the biggest impact of anyone. And he's been probably one of the best friends you could have, you know, just meeting someone for the first time. But yeah, he's a fantastic pitcher, and I'm very excited seeing him pitch much more because I do believe he's a fantastic arm.
Dots a fastball on the corner for strike 2 on Jake Trapani. Austin College down just 1 in the top of the 6th. Jackson, you transferred very recently in the spring semester, so it was a challenge for you to get adjusted. And Michael being here in town, when would you say you met him?
I actually met him around a month to a month and a half before school started, right at the beginning of winter break, right after I got out of school. And we just started working immediately with Coach Smith, and we just went from there.
Blows a fastball past Trapani for the first out of the inning. So was it Coach Smith's idea to put you two together since you're both from San Antonio?
Yes. He thought that would be the best idea, knowing that we both came from San Antonio, and he did a very good job.
Clearly, whatever y'all worked on has been working. And he's trying to hold on to this Trinity lead. Logan Ballard, long at bat his last time up, takes strike 1. 4-3 ball game in favor of the Tigers, trying to sweep the Kangaroos out of town. What's your thought on the Kangaroo mascot?
I think it's very unique. The biggest thing, though, with this school is I found out that they are not from Austin.
They are not from Austin. That is a big fact to know about them.
Yeah. I was very surprised when they were saying they're from, I think it's Sherman, Texas.
Sherman, Texas, that's right.
Blows my mind. I don't know exactly where the name comes into play, but
Sherman, Texas, near the border of Oklahoma, about 5.5 hours north of San Antonio. And speaking of north, Boki goes up. Ballard able to lay off. It's one of the most unique mascots that we get to talk about. We've teased it all day, and we'll continue to tease it because there's still several innings left in this game, so we're not going to give away the Kangaroo story quite yet. But I guess we're going to force you to watch the broadcast later to find out.
Sounds good.
And here Ballard doing what he did last time up, just refusing to go down quietly. Had several foul balls the last time he came up, and this time he draws a walk, and you can hear the energy building in the Austin College dugout as they get a walk with 1 out in the 6th. How much do you hear noise from the opposing dugout when you're on the mound?
I try not to think about it, but as you can tell, I can hear our bullpen very well. So, you know, sometimes the noise slips in a little bit, but it's always good just try not to listen to it.
Boki delivers to Tom. Strike 1 down the middle to the freshman. Little roller to third. Holloway has to come in to get it, and he does. Throw out Tom's. Runner moves up to second, and that's the tying run in scoring position, but there are 2 away. And a delay here as a visit to the mound coming from pitching coach Dave Smith. So Joe gave us what he sees when a visit is made. What do you think about when you see that pitching coach or head coach Tim Scandal coming your way?
I always know that I'm going to get good feedback, whether that be negative for me or positive for me. I always know that good feedback's coming. It really does help me calm down when I'm up there. I feel like there are times when you can really get in your own head since you're up there all alone. So it's very good. It's very nice having your coach come out and kind of mellowing you out.
And you get a good look at Boki and also Matt McNaney, the new catcher in. Lazera started the game behind the dish, but now McNaney has taken over. And I'm curious your perspective on that too. You have to learn your catchers, right? So how is that learning the intricacies of what each guy does differently?
It actually was a pretty easy fix. All the catchers here are absolutely fantastic. So it really was not a It wasn't a change at all. If anything, it was positive. Just fantastic catching here, fantastic receiving, throwing, all marks for every single catcher we have.
Boki trying to work out of this pickle. Goes with the breaking ball, a little outside to Hosmer. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ballard over there at third, 2 away in the top of the 6th. When he is at his best, Boki seems to get that breaking ball to dance everywhere, around the zone or out of it. Goes with the sweeper, that misses outside. What do you think makes this breaking ball so special?
I couldn't tell you, but all I know is it's one of the best breaking balls I've ever seen. It's just absolutely disgusting. I won't even let him throw it to me while we're playing catch because it's a terrifying pitch to catch. I can't imagine how McNaney's catching it.
It's moving all sorts of directions. That one moved inside on Hosmer, and he is not fooled right now. 3-1 the advantage as Austin College trying to tie things up. 3-1 delivery. There's a breaking ball strike. Three-2 on the way. Michael Boki replacing the starter, Cade McGahan. Breaking ball beautifully thrown outside the zone. Hosmer chases, and the Kangaroos still down 1 after 5.5. Thank you, Jackson Tier, for joining us, throwing a no-hitter, and then joining the broadcast. Which was harder?
Definitely the broadcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you made it look easy, and it's a pleasure to watch and a pleasure to get to know you. So thank you for joining us. And go enjoy that no-hitter and go enjoy that cold again. Go back out there. But thank you again.
Thank you.
Be back after this on Tiger Network. Tigers up 1.
Leading off for Trinity is shortstop number 5, Michael Monteza.
We're back on Tiger Network. Bottom of the 6th, Trinity 4, Austin College 3. We just had the pleasure of talking to Jackson Tier and Joseph Shavana, the previous 2 starters. And now we're back with Luke Terry. Thank you for letting us have those conversations, and I'm sure you enjoyed them here in the booth as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's always really interesting to have their perspective as Montreza puts a ride into that one. That one is going to be a foul ball? Hard to tell from in here. Got a lot of that baseball, but ultimately ended up on the wrong side of that foul pole. I think it pretty easily cleared that cutout out down the left field line. So he'll make that slow walk. A little bit of an awkward one back into the box after you hit a baseball that hard and it winds up a foul ball. But obviously great to have Jackson in here. Great to have Joseph in here. Love listening to them talk about their own performances, but also really interesting to see them watch the game and have the perspective that we get to watch the game. All of these different angles. I thought it was really interesting how intrigued or involved Joseph was with different angles of his fellow pitchers on the staff, specifically when Caden was still out there on the mound. Like being able to see him from behind, from the side, would obviously love the opportunity to talk through more mechanics with him and things along those lines, but great to have them in here, especially coming fresh off of those performances the last 2 days.
Yeah, and we're incredibly thankful to them for joining us, and with the broadcast that we've highlighted, so lucky to be here. And Montreza puts another charge into it, but it's just short of the warning track. So Montreza fooling around with the home run, but not getting it to go. But just gives us another chance to be so thankful for the broadcast that we do have. And it's spring break. Students really aren't back yet, but you know who has been? We joked about it earlier, Ryan Cedillo, also Josh Muchigemba. They are always here, always putting this broadcast on. Day or night, rain or shine, they are out there. And we are so grateful that we have this ability to put on Tiger Network broadcasts.
Absolutely. Things just gorgeous here today in San Antonio from a broadcast perspective. Not so gorgeous out there on the field. So maybe some people having the opportunity to watch from home. Great to be back here on the broadcast, on the call with you, Brian, but so thankful that they do what they do to allow us this opportunity.
And speaking of opportunities, Corson Hastings getting one today in the starting lineup, and he is taking full advantage. Doubled his last time up, now lines a single into right. And so for Hastings, had been a little bit of a slow start offensively in 9 games and 21 at-bats, just a 143 average, but that's going to skyrocket with a couple of hits this afternoon. Brings up Colt Harris with 1 out in the bottom of the 6th. Able to lay off a breaking ball, and Garrett Gray giving the Kangaroos some real length that is much needed. The games have been shorter since they've been 7-inning run rules, but that doesn't mean they didn't need someone to go deep into this one to save some arms, and he is doing the job.
Yeah, he's been really, really spectacular here this afternoon. I think all of the pitchers have been incredibly impressive to me, Brian. My first series back, but I think one of the biggest issues that I see teams run into, and it's an issue that even this Trinity pitching staff runs into from time to time, is a lack of consistency in throwing strikes. But on both sides of the field this afternoon, both teams, both staffs have come out and they've really hammered the zone. Jackson Tier did it to start the game. Cade McGahan did it to start game 2, and Michael Bokey came in, but Gray has been absolutely spectacular, and he's done a really good job of using some movement to keep the bats in check, limit really hard hit baseballs in addition to operating in and around the zone.
And he's loving what he's seeing from his catcher. Look at the gun on the backstop that hasn't played in the series until today. Smith getting up and firing it to get Hastings out at second. So he erases the single. Now the 3-0 count to Harris becomes 3-1. And it's been kind of a step-by-step process for Austin College. First it was, okay, can we get that first hit? And they did. Then, can they get that first run? And they did. Now, the energy is just building and mounting, and you can hear it out of their dugout. And after that last throw out at second, it was an eruption. They're gaining more confidence by the pitch.
Absolutely, and they're still right there in striking distance here this afternoon. And in large part, it's been thanks to Gray. Trinity able to come out, scratch a run, added a little bit more insurance, but since then have been really kept in check. And now Austin College has closed the gap. Just a 1-run game with a lot of baseball left to play here this afternoon.
This is an Austin College team that is now 4-12 on the year. They were 8-28 last season. Only 3 wins in conference play compared to 18 losses. Harris fouls it the other way. So I asked Coach Sean Counts, what would a win mean to your team? And he just said it would give them so much confidence to see all 3 of those phases that we talked about come together in one game and show them that it's possible. They can do it. They just need to find a way to do it consistently and all at once. And Gray Has his pitch fouled off here, but if they are able to come back into this game and jump over Trinity, he is going to be one of the most responsible. The senior from Forney, Texas, who has pitched since his freshman year. Looking to go inside on Harris, gets it there, turns around it, straight into that Tiger bullpen.
One important thing to highlight, though, is that Gray's pitch count really creeping up there now. Over 90 pitches on the afternoon. Colt Harris continuing to spoil these offerings. Becomes increasingly less likely that he's going to come back out there, especially issuing a free pass right there. That's going to keep the inning going. So Gray having to face another batter right here. Looks like his catcher will trot out there to have a discussion with him. We'll see if the coaching staff will join. I believe they will, and that will actually be it for Gray here this afternoon. A really spectacular performance, but just couldn't get to the end of the 6th inning. So we'll see if Trinity can get anything going and add a little bit more insurance with 2 outs here in the bottom of the inning.
We'll take a pause on Tiger Network as the new pitcher warms up. We've got a great ball game on hand, so I hope you don't go anywhere.
Pitching name for Austin Powell. Now the mound for the Kangaroos, number 11, Zach Zarnecki. Next up for the Tigers, center fielder number 24, Jack Peterson.
New pitcher for the Kangaroos, Zach Zarnecki. And before he makes a pitch, he checks on the runner at first. Zarnecki has to face Jack Peterson with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th, runner on first base. There's a chopper past the first baseman, and he deflects it, so it goes into the outfield. Peterson will stick around at first, but with 2 outs, Harris advances to third, so a little bad luck baseball for the Kangaroos there. These runners at the corners with 2 away. Ballard trying to get a glove on it, and he did, but not in the way he desired, because then Toms overran it, and it means Max Milligan, who's had a lot of firsts today, first career at bat, first career walk, first career stolen base, looking for first career RBI. Runner going, Peterson on the way to second, and he's safe as Tom stepped in front of it, not wanting the runner to come in from third. But all that means is that Ezra Gore's going to have to keep working hard to catch up to Jack Peterson. 11 for 11 with stolen base attempts for Peterson. One of my favorite stats to keep track of so far this year because the Tigers have been running wild through their jungle. Breaking ball misses high for Zarnecki.
It's a little bit like watching MJ Metz out there last year on the base paths. It's not very often that you see someone as big as Peterson or Metz taking back, but they have such long legs and they're good enough athletes that they get them moving quick enough to start. And at that rate, they're moving pretty fast. I think Peterson might have even a little bit of an advantage at 6'2", 6'3", maybe even a little bit taller than that. Once he really gets going, he can move. And he's shown it here to us this afternoon for sure.
Breaking ball up and in. 3 balls, 1 strike. Zarnecki wanted that one on Milligan, but did not get it. And the catcher having a conversation with the umpire, trying to understand where it was. But where it leaves Zarnecki behind in the count in a dangerous spot against the leadoff hitter. Milligan struck out his last time, drawn 3 walks today. And make it 4. So he just took a little hiatus with the strikeout last time, but now in his plate appearances as a Tiger, it's been more walks than none. And you see the smile. It's been my favorite part of having the camera so close, is just seeing the reactions of the players when they do something either good or bad, how they are able to react, and we get to see it. And it leaves Holloway with the bases loaded, 2 outs, a massive spot in this game that the Kangaroos have been able to climb back into. And a strike delivered by Zarnecki.
I'm sure for Milligan, though, Brian, his teammates are probably letting him hear it just a little bit. A little bit of bad luck. I'm trying to remember last year who it was that started their career with just consecutive hit by pitch after hit by pitch. I want to say it was Trey Verver.
That's exactly right. Hit 3 times in his first game. Zarnecki trying to focus in on Holloway. The 1-1 pitch inside nearly hits his elbow. Zarnecki, the junior from Prosper, Texas, came in the loss against McMurray, went an inning, allowed 2 runs on 3 hits. Stands in at 5'9". Off-speed delivery, flown into the air, left field, plenty of room. And he seals the deal by putting both hands on the glove. Vrazel helps his pitcher out, and a major jam avoided for the Kangaroos. So after 6 innings of baseball in San Antonio, Trinity 4, Austin College 3.
Pitching team for Trinity. On the mound for the Tigers, sophomore right-hander from Corpus Christi, number 13, Jack Martinez. Starting for the Kangaroos is the catcher number 29, Greg Smith.
6 p.m. in San Antonio, and as the clock strikes that hour, Martinez, the new pitcher in the game for the Tigers, gets strike one on the catcher. Misses with that off-speed delivery. Jack Martinez, a sophomore from Corpus Christi, Texas. Very interesting to see him in the reverse role with McGahan, the starter today. Martinez made the start against Birmingham Southern, in which McGahan relieved him. Now flipping roles. Martinez coming in as a reliever, and wow, has he looked electric. Misses up and in with a fastball. But the last time we saw Jack Martinez, he put on a show. 9 strikeouts in 4 1/3, coming out against DeSales from the bullpen. Looking to keep this tight advantage for Trinity. 1 run, and he blows a fastball right by Smith.
And he's a guy that really makes sense in this type of role more than anyone else on the staff. Talked earlier today about Jackson Tier being 6'2", but maybe not the most physically imposing guy. Martinez is every bit of 6'4", and he throws the baseball really aggressively. A nice play over there all around on that one as Christian Holloway makes the stop at third base, has his pitcher fired up as Corson Hastings finishes things off with a nice pick at first base. One runs in on the hands a little bit, but it didn't matter. Hastings has that one off the ground all the way through, and very quickly Martinez in from the bullpen with 2 outs down.
When you say that he is physically imposing, it's a big credit to what he has done in the offseason. Is that one tight in on Hill, ball 2. 2-0 on the center fielder. He worked all summer long specifically on his body. Said he changed his diet, started eating better, going to the gym pretty much every single day rather than playing summer baseball. And he gained upwards of 10 to 15 pounds. Misses inside, 4-pitch walk to Hill. So not what Martinez wanted there with 2 outs in the 7th. But Dave Smith, the pitching coach, said when he first saw Martinez out of the summer, he said, wow, you have worked. You have physically improved. And we have seen the results of that on the mound.
Yeah, and for those of you watching at home, you might look and say, he doesn't particularly look it. He doesn't have the tight pants on like some other guys do. And you look at that upper half, he is absolutely built when you consider the fact that he's 6'4". He's a guy that, again, is pushing off and using every bit of that frame, every pound on there to throw the ball as hard as he can. He's a guy that came in last year with a hat that didn't quite stay on as well as it needed to. He was throwing so aggressively that it was falling off almost every time he delivered the baseball. That time, not getting the benefit of the doubt, and it didn't look like he was too upset about it. Matthew McNaney back there, the backstop for the Tigers, thought he might have had strike 3, but Martinez settling back in with a nice breaking ball delivery in the box right there, just taking a swing at it, hoping for the best, but absolutely no shot against Martinez.
Nasty slider that gets the Kangaroos down. They put another runner on for the 2nd consecutive inning, that tying run on the base pass, but they are unable to bring him home. So it's time to stretch in San Antonio. We haven't had to stretch much with these 7-inning games, but this one a lot tighter than the first 2. So stick around. Make sure to sing at home. We won't sing it for you, but we'll be back with more good baseball.
Tigers. Catcher number 23, Matt McNeely.
Matt McNaney came in as the catcher, now getting his first plate appearance. Replaced Nick Lazera. Lines it into left field for a base hit. Welcome to the ball game, Matt McNaney. Time called for Austin College. Coach Counts on his way to the mound. A pat on the back by Smith on Zarnecki. And now Zarnecki shakes the hand of his coach, hands off the ball, and leaves us with a quick pitching change. So the bottom of the 7th inning gets going with a Matt McNaney single. Tigers trying to add to their advantage. They swept Concordia, but other than that, have lost at least one game of their previous series. Always tough to beat a good team 3 times, although don't tell that to Cameron Hill. He doesn't believe in that saying, the head coach for the women's basketball team here at Trinity. But when Trinity beat Birmingham Southern, Luke, in that 3rd game, the feeling around here was that it's so crucial to win that last game of the series, no matter how it's gone, whether it's a rubber match that you're able to win the series with, or a sweep, or avoiding a sweep. It leaves you with that taste in your mouth, however it ends. And for Austin College, it's been a very sour weekend, but they can sweeten it up if they're able to get this last one.
Yeah, and I remember the conversations that Coach Scannell was having with this team ahead of that Birmingham Southern series. It really seemed like he was excited just for the opportunity to go and play a team at that level, at that caliber. And whatever happened, happened, especially at that point in the year. I think much of the same applies for this Austin College team, who has the opportunity, obviously, to open conference play, but beyond that, to also play a top program in the country. Trinity being ranked in the top 20 right now, pretty regularly being ranked in the top 15, even the top 10 in the country. Last year, making an appearance in the College World Series. A team or a win against a program of this caliber really does something. But in general, the opportunity to come out and compete and have the opportunity within a 3-game series to maybe drop a couple games, even in the fashion that they did, and then come out a 3rd time and perform the way they have, has been really impressive. So often do we see double headers, Brian, where a team loses badly in game 1 and then they're lifeless in game 2, or they're lifeless for the rest of a series. That's just not at all been the case with this Austin College team. And it makes sense when you talk about their mantra, talk about their motto, their adhesion, their desire to play this style of gritty baseball. It's exactly what they've done here today. They fell behind, but they've clawed back into it a little bit, and they're in a position to perhaps take a game from one of the best teams in the country.
Anything but lifeless, for sure, for this Austin College team. Showing tremendous fight in this game 2 of the doubleheader, and that's exactly what Coach Counts wanted and what he has seen all year long. Ignoring all records, ignoring all opponents, they show up and put in their best effort. Gavin Brady, the next one up to try to keep this one close. The freshman pitcher, we've talked a lot about height in this one, more so on the Tiger side, but how about 6'3", 180 for the California native? One of 3 California natives on this Austin College roster. Tries to sneak one past Pettit, but it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Last time Brady was seen for the Kangaroos, went just a 1/3 of an inning, gave up 2 runs against McMurray on Tuesday. Bounced in the turf. Pettit, the catcher who knows better than anyone where the strikes and balls are at. Patiently waiting that one. His best swing of the year so far came yesterday on a breaking ball, and he put a good drive into one foul this at-bat. Something Brady has to be aware of. McNaney, the runner there at first. Seems like it's been a while with the pitching change in the middle, but he led off the inning with a single. Strike 3 called. And Pettit, who we just said, feels like he knows the strike zone better than most as the catcher. Not thrilled with that call, but the umpire rings him up. And now Ezra Gore will step up to try to move the runner over.
Yeah, not a ton of conviction out of the home plate umpire in that strike 3 call. Really delayed as Tyler Pettit turned to check with him. And it was a good spot out of Brady, down and away with that fastball, but I think it might have been a little bit low. You mentioned Tyler Pettit, so knowledgeable about the strike zone. Certainly wasn't a fan of that call. But nonetheless, a good response from Brady coming in out of the bullpen, immediately facing one of the most potent hitters in this Trinity offense and able to sit him down quickly.
The potent power doesn't stop with Pettit, though. Ezra Gore has had a great weekend. 1 for 3 today, scored a run, but has to wait on the pickoffs of McNaney, who as a catcher wouldn't expect him to go very far on the base pass, but he does have a stolen base on the year and has not been caught. So speed really everywhere you look on this Trinity roster. Taking a pretty healthy lead, getting into the mind of Brady, and he took off. Now the back pick to first nearly gets him. Dangerous decision there from McNaney. Faked as if he was taking off for second, but Smith caught that in the corner of his eye and nearly caught him at first. Mind games being played right now. This time no action. Gore takes one outside.
I think one of the interesting perspectives that we got to hear about from Jackson Tier, Brian, was the fact that Matthew McNaney entered the game, obviously, and then he discussed a little bit about the talent and the skill level of this catching staff as a whole. Obviously, Lazera starting the game, McNaney coming in relief, singling earlier in this inning, Tyler Pettit being an All-American caliber player. It's a position group the last couple of years that's been as stacked as any for this Trinity program. Think back to when Michael Goodrich was the everyday catcher replaced by Tyler Pettit. It's a group that's had tremendous success offensively, but on the flip side has played a really big role with 3 really good defensive catchers with this pitching staff and the way that they've been successful this year.
Nearly an inning-ending double play off the bat of Montreza. Woodhouse to Toms to Ballard, but Montreza just fast enough to beat it out. And keep this inning going would have been a boost to Austin College, trying to bridge this gap to the end of the game. And Coach Count's going to have a conversation with the umpire about that call. Maybe we can take a look at it on the replay. He was called safe, so runners at the corners with 2 outs, but still a conversation being had. Coach Count still has quite the weapon with his bullpen, who has shown up in this game, keeping the deficit at just 1, and we're going to get a look at it. The 6-4, but the 3 was what was missing. And that second glance at it did look like Montreza beat it. Montreza dives in. Corson Hastings trying to keep it up. Big day for him, double and a single. Swings past that fastball inside. Gavin Brady, the latest Kangaroo to hop into the game. Just misses with that one outside and high. Brady from Orange County, California. There's one other California native who won't be available for the Kangaroos, and that is someone that they would love to have in a situation like this late in the game. Curtis Gustafson, a go-to reliever, not with the team. As Hastings fouls that one back. 1-2 the count. Gustafson feeling a little under the weather. And especially with the weather in San Antonio, they just decided he'd be better off resting, getting back to his full self. Brady trying to pick up the slack. Gets a soft ground ball, dives down to pick it up. The toss in time to Ballard. Athletic play made by Brady, using all 6'3" of his frame to go down to get it and then lift himself up to throw out the runner. It's a 4-3 ball game, folks. Headed to the 8th inning. Kangaroos trying to stun the Tigers. Mason Woodhouse to lead it off for the Kangaroos. 3-4-5 due up. Strike blown in there by Martinez, still on the mound after coming in last inning. It was Cade McGahan to start the game for the Tigers and Michael Bokey. Martinez slider misses that time. 1-1 the count to Woodhouse, who has a double. And will try to kickstart an Austin College team feeling the momentum. Slider, this time a strike. It has been a long, long time since Austin College has beaten Trinity. Martinez trying to make sure it stays that way. A strike 3 on the corner. Sits down Woodhouse. So that's exactly the start Martinez wants to this inning. But this Kangaroo team, after falling 10-0 last night, 10-0 in game 1 of the doubleheader, hanging right with the 19th ranked team in the country. Trapani takes the changeup outside the zone. They're 19 right now, but they started the year in the top 5. Had a top 5 battle with Birmingham Southern. And they nearly took 2 out of 3 from the Panthers, as Trapani can't get a hold of that one. And ever since then, it's been some losses here and there, but the wins starting to stack up for the Tigers. 11-5 now. And another one right in the same spot. But while the ranking shows 19, that preseason ranking shows the talent and the ability that is there if they reach their full potential. So Austin College doing a great job hanging around with the Tigers.
Yeah, Brian, interesting to consider the fact that they've fallen from that top 5 positioning almost down to number 20. You mentioned number 19 right now, especially when you look at that record. That one sent back up the middle, but Montreza will be there to field it cleanly, complete the throw on over to Hastings for the second out of the inning. You think about that 11-6 record, and 11-5 record with 2 of those losses coming to now #1 Birmingham Southern. Outside of that series, of course, they're 10-3 on the season, and now, as we've talked about all day, they're really starting to find their groove, really get into their own. You mentioned it was a preseason ranking that was based a lot on where they could be, and now as we see them really reach that potential, I'd imagine that they're going to start moving back up those rankings slowly but surely.
Martinez really loving the inside part of the plate in this inning. Left that one a little more on the zone, though. Ballard couldn't put it into play. He's down, no balls, 2 strikes. But that means nothing to Ballard. He has battled all day long when behind in the count. And there he goes again. His last name might be Ballard, but might want to change it to Battle. It has been impressive. Drew a walk last time, sending foul ball after foul ball, and ball 1 there. 1-2 the count. First baseman who did not see action last night or earlier today, trying to start a 2-out rally on Martinez. High leg kick, little foul tip. Doing anything it takes. Martinez has been a strikeout machine in 13 2/3 innings. He has struck out 28 batters. His high speed velocity on the fastball, along with sharp movement on the breaking stuff, allows that to happen. But Ballard, not impressed. Another foul ball.
Yeah, I think you have to tip your hat to both of these guys. Ballard, against pretty much every pitcher that he's seen or faced today, has had this type of battle. Martinez coming right at him right there with a high fastball, induces that soft contact over there to Colt Harris. Great back and forth between pitcher and hitter, but Martinez showing great velocity. Really a tough thing to deal with. Trinity will carry that 1-run lead into the bottom of the 8th. Be 1 more opportunity, 3 more outs for Austin College in the 9th to try and knot things up. But before that, Tigers will try and give themselves a little bit of insurance.
So we're headed to the bottom of the 8th inning. Trinity trying to hang on to this win, and we have put it out there all day long, Luke, making people wait for the Kangaroo story. Couldn't give it away in the game 1 of the doubleheader. Then had some great conversations with pitchers. But I think we're running out of time, so we have to give it to them, don't you think?
This is why I'm back. At the end of the day, I don't think there's a reoccurring bit that I've played more into than the mascot stories. Every single week, every single team, program, school that comes in here, I know you're on top of things and you're doing everything you can to find out what the history is.
Well, here we go. Kangaroo, one of the most special ones we have here in the conference. And before we get to it, a special shout out to Jake Mintz and Jordan Schusterman, who run D3 Baseball's podcast. And in their preview of the conference, they said, we always want to know why the Kangaroos are the Kangaroos. Well, I hope you're tuning in. If not, we'll send you this clip because we're about to let you know why Austin College goes by the name Kangaroos. As Brady gets set to start this inning on Colt Harris, making you wait just a little longer. But a ball misses low. The Kangaroos, because in 1850, way back there, Austin College had their upperclassmen hold a kangaroo court on freshmen who came to the school and were new to the university. They would try them in that kangaroo court and offer different sorts of punishments left up to the imagination. Now, that was abolished in the 1920s because people caught on to the fact that maybe that wasn't the best idea to haze incoming students to the school. As Harris pops one way up there, stays in play, and is caught for out number 1. So they got rid of the kangaroo court, but the students of Austin College loved the name Kangaroo, and they made it their moniker to go by. And they even got a live kangaroo from California. His name was Pat, and he would go to sporting events, he would go to practices, but one day he just was pushed a little too far and he died. They replaced him with Pat 2, also died, and they decided that maybe North Texas wasn't the spot for kangaroos, and so they haven't had a live kangaroo really since then, but they have kept the mascot kangaroo because of way back in the 1850s, the kangaroo court that their upperclassmen would hold.
Really interesting. A lot of really interesting aspects to the story. I think the fact that you had a live kangaroo stands out above all else, but Brian, do you know, was Austin College always in Sherman while the live kangaroos were with the school?
My understanding, as Peterson draws a 4-pitch walk, not what the kangaroos on the field want to do at all with his speed, but my understanding is that it has always been up there in North Texas, right alongside the border.
Now that I have that information, thank you for answering my question, Brian, do you know any of the details behind the untimely death of these kangaroos, or is that a little hazier?
Little hazier, definitely. Mentions that it was very unfortunate situation for everybody involved.
Certainly.
And we hate to hear it for Pat.
Absolutely.
100 years since the day, I mean, not the day, the year. It was 1923. Now it's 2023, and here we are still talking about the kangaroos. So they left quite the impact on their school and on so many that have faced them years after.
Obviously, so unfortunate, because I personally would love it if Austin College still had a live kangaroo mascot. I'm sure you would too.
I would love it. Trinity used to have a live tiger as well. Leroy used to roam the campus. We are just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the San Antonio Zoo. Milligan's bunt attempt will land foul. But no more live tigers, no more live kangaroos, just the ones we have on the baseball field.
I think they will do the job just fine. They've been plenty entertaining for us here today, wouldn't you say, Brian?
Definitely would agree with that. They have given us such a quality game in the second end of the doubleheader. Trinity 4, Austin 3 in the bottom of the 8th. Peterson walk, causing disruption, and here he goes again. The throw high and late. That's a dozen steals for Jack Peterson and still hasn't been caught. So I think Jack Peterson is faster than a kangaroo and a tiger combined.
Yeah, certainly a good jump on that one, but a marvelous, marvelous throw from Smith behind home plate. Another great pitch for the catcher to throw on. Fastball up and out of the zone into that other batter's box. He stepped out, had all of his momentum behind him, delivered a really, really nice throw. But Jack Peterson just been so impressive on the base paths today. That one would have had to been right on that part of the bag where that second baseman shortstop is catching it and applying the tag immediately. And it wasn't too far off, but it certainly wasn't good enough. And Jack Peterson had himself another stolen bag and puts himself in great position to try and add to this Trinity lead.
Milligan, 3 walks already today. 1 in the earlier game. Peterson has to jump back, and the throw made because would have been a ball if he hadn't. Peterson today alone with 4 stolen bases. A third of his season output coming in this game. Milligan up the middle, shortstop right there, makes the throw to Ballard. Peterson moves up 90 feet and is now closer to scoring, but there are 2 away for Gavin Brady. And in another first time Milligan puts it into play since he's been walked 4 times and struck out. Does move the runner over and brings up Christian Holloway to try to drive in a very important insurance run if the Tigers can get it. Up just 1 on their Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference rival. Changeup misses low and away. Brady taking a long look into the sign, now has it. Ready to fire. Up the middle and off the foot of Brady into right field. Holloway and the Tigers catch a massive break and add to their lead 2 now as Brady hobbles off the mound and he's being looked at by his manager. Just an unfortunate break off the foot of Brady, who pitched so well and now will come out of the game with the Tigers up 2.
Yeah, and a pretty immediate decision to go to the bullpen. Not a huge surprise. That one, a real hard hit ball off the bat of Holloway. And it kind of sounded like and really looked like it got a good chunk of Brady's foot. Caught him pretty flush and took a hard ricochet off into right field. You see Holloway doing a little bit of a dance, probably aimed back towards his dugout. Not too upset about the outcome of that one. Able to give his team a little bit more insurance.
And we mentioned that he's not with the team. Curtis Gustafson, a reliever that has 2 saves on the year for Austin College, an ERA of 1.08 in 8 innings of work. He has struck out 7, allowed just 6 hits on the year. Someone that would have been great for Coach Counts to go to keep this deficit at 1, but he did not have him. He is back home under the weather, not with the team. And now the Tigers get to add to their lead. It's 2 instead of 1, thanks to the foot of Brady. Love this angle, too, of everything going on the field. You see the Austin College bullpen still working. Christian Holloway talking to his first base coach, Drake Eggers. And, of course, you see the new pitcher, Brant Stuber, who, if that sounds familiar, it should, because he played third base yesterday. Now he's on the mound.
Yeah, and a really fun thing that you see at this level, maybe a bit more than you do in other areas of college baseball, Brian, is the position player, pitcher, hitter, all in one. A lot of really, really impressive guys, not only in D3, but within the SCAC, more centralized. Not something that we see a ton for this Trinity roster, but something that I know that we've seen out of Centenary, see at times out of Texas Lutheran. Really, really cool to see these guys in a lot of different capacities show everything that they can do on the field.
Stuber wasn't always a pitcher and a hitter, at least for Austin College, as the first pitch to McNaney popped up foul. Kangaroos giving chase, but it's not going to be worth it as it's in the bullpen. Stuber last year did not pitch for Austin College, and he did come in as a hitter. Had 32 at-bats as a freshman, but this year it's been a different story. This will be his 3rd appearance on the mound. Last time he was out there, March 7th against Southeastern Oklahoma. Make sure to check on Holloway there at first. Went 2 innings, allowed 4 runs on 4 hits. And his job right now, keep it at 2. Give his offense a chance to come back. Perfect location there. Takes the count to no balls, 2 strikes. McNaney got a hit in his only at-bat of the day. Stepping in to replace Nick Lazera as catcher. And also picking up the bat in his 3rd hole. Lays off the looper, ball 1.
A couple of calls to some pretty infamous animated children's movies today, Brian. I know that we got the Mike Lustina mine from Disney's Finding Nemo earlier this afternoon. Now I'm hearing a King Julian chant coming from a dugout, and I think it's having spent some time out around the Trinity players coming from our dugout. King Julian and Mort being a beloved relationship in the Madagascar movies. And I don't know who is doing it, but they just do it so well. It's honestly quite impressive how well they can mimic a fictional lemur.
I'm just amazed that you've picked all of this up from all the way here, because I personally have no idea what you're talking about. But now that I'm paying attention, I do hear that, and Holloway using the distraction, I guess, that the Kangaroos are facing to steal a base. Not even a throw.
It works.
Maybe people at home know Madagascar better than I do.
Maybe.
That's just the problem.
But once you've heard it, it's hard to ignore it. That's the big thing.
Straight back into the net. Every single Tiger on the rail of the dugout. Get an excellent look at it there. Tim Scannell right in the middle of the jungle. You definitely hear it now. 3-2 on the way to McNaney. Keeps battling.
And just a ton of energy out of this squad right now. This Trinity dugout really coming to life here in these later innings. I think kind of understanding, realizing the magnitude of this spot, opportunity to grab some more insurance, a little bit more cushion.
Swing and a miss, strike three. McNaney can't catch up to the high fastball. And Stuber keeps it at 2, but the Tigers add an insurance run to make it a 5-3 advantage heading to the 9th inning. 3 outs away from a sweep.
Leading up to the Kangaroos, second baseman number 4, Chip Tom.
Jack Martinez looking to seal the deal. This is inside to the leadoff hitter, Trip Toms, who's had a little bit of a quieter series. But he has made an amazing impression as a freshman. Takes a strike down the pump there, 1-1 the count. But Toms from Paris, Texas, asked his head coach, why has he succeeded so quickly? Was hitting over 340 before these series games got started. And Coach Counts just said, he has a high baseball IQ. He is one of those guys that knows everything about the game. He has a great mentality, and he has been an excellent addition to this Austin College roster. And he says, no matter if you're a freshman or a senior, you have to have confidence, and Toms has plenty of it. And he knocks one the other way. It's going to get down in front of Gore. So Trip Toms continues to produce as a freshman, leads off the 9th with a single.
Yeah, and a great piece of hitting right there. Martinez has just overpowered the majority of this Austin College lineup in his time in the game, but Tom's taking exactly what he's given and going the opposite direction with it. A nice line drive into shallow right center field. Not trying to do too much, and gives Austin College exactly what they want, with just a base runner to get things started here.
It's Scott Hosmer, the third baseman today, Tom's a short lead, not going anywhere, and a high ball, 2-0. For the Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference, baseball is one of their specialties. Truly, 1 through 8, there is talent on every single roster. And on this 2-0 count, the Tigers aren't going to play around. Martinez coming out of the game, gets the ball into the hands of Dave Smith. But we'll stick with you during this break. Austin College down 2. They get a leadoff single, and they have a 2-0 count. Some danger brewing, thanks to the Kangaroos just unwilling to say die.
Yeah, and it was a quick decision from Coach Smith. But when you look at number 8 trotting out there and stepping onto the mound, it's not that much of a surprise. Not a position where you want to play around and give Austin College too much of an opportunity to really grasp some momentum. So you go to probably one of the top options out of the bullpen in Harrison DeRoe.
Certainly one of the top options when you watch him pitch, and even if you haven't gotten to and you just take a look at the numbers, they pop out at you. 7 strikeouts and 3 2/3 innings his last time against Concordia. What that means, out of 11 outs that he recorded, 7 of them were via the punch out. And look at that ratio that he has in 12 innings, 21 strikeouts. Harrison DeRoe, the junior from Dallas, Texas, started many games last year. In the minds of these coaches, could be a starter as well, but he has become so dominant out of the bullpen that now he's one of the options late in games when they need it the most.
Obviously, starting pitching is such a huge advantage. When you get a guy that can go out there, go 5, 6+ innings and really bridge the gap, it's awesome to have. But you want great guys that have awesome arms, awesome stuff, and just fight and compete and attack the zone in really every position in your bullpen. And I think that's the difference with this Trinity team, is you have guys that are really starting to carve out specific roles. Jackson Tier, Joseph Shavana have been great as starting pitchers. Harrison DeRoe is more than capable of performing in that capacity. But a guy like him, a guy like Jack Martinez, guys that can come in out of the bullpen, throw hard, and get a lot of strikeouts are really valuable to have. And it's exactly what Harrison DeRoe has done. You saw that last breaking ball is something that I think he really hangs his hat upon. A little bit of a loopier curveball, and it's one that absolutely does wonders for him.
In his debut this season against Birmingham Southern, 7 strikeouts in that same amount of time, 3 2/3 innings. The only difference is that he was a strike away from sealing that second win against Birmingham Southern, and Noah Best was able to get to him, keep the game alive, and eventually the Panthers found a way to win that game. Ever since then, though, he has shut the door, allowing just 3 runs in his last 8 innings. Has to deal with a 2-0 count, though, don't forget. In the middle of this at-bat, the change was made. And Hosmer takes the strike to make it 2-1.
It's a great pitch to start things out right there. Hosmer more than likely going to have a green light, but DeRoe hitting the very bottom of the zone. Great way to get himself back into things.
Misses low and away with that fastball. 3 balls, 1 strike for DeRoe. Very similar to Martinez, a tall right-handed pitcher, 6'3". So he gets that downward angle from the mound. Hosmer looking for a pitch to hit. DeRoe fires, strike 2. Kangaroos didn't love that call, and it takes the count full. Tom's over there at first, could be in motion, although it's a 2-run deficit, not 1. So they need both of these guys to score. Inside, misses to Hosmer, and the Kangaroos, runners on first and second, nobody out in the 9th.
Yeah, not too much of a surprise right there. Pitch selection out of DeRoe, mostly fastball, but you consider the fact that he comes in out of the bullpen inheriting a 2-0 count, working from behind, want to be sure that you have or throwing the pitch that you're the most comfortable with, have the most control over. Now with a fresher count, an 0-0 situation against Thompson, I think we're going to see him start to work that curveball into the mix, especially if Thompson's going to square around and perhaps bunt and try and move those runners over.
And Counts trusting Thompson to put the bunt down because he is pinch hitting for Greg Smith, the catcher. And if you look at his eyes, they're tracking the ball every millisecond. It was that breaking ball, as you mentioned, Luke, but he kept that bat vertical, and then he pulled it right back. So he's ahead 2 balls, no strikes to Rowe. Coming into a jam, trying to get out of it. Kangaroos trying to fight back. Here goes another bunt attempt. And this time a strike on the outside corner. Thompson thought it was out.
It's a really good pitch right there. Fantastic spot, but don't dislike the idea of him going back to that breaking ball, especially if he can find a way to drop it into the zone. Really force Thompson to try and lay down the bunt on that breaking ball.
He gets it down. Fair ball. The throw to third. Off the mark. Safe is Toms. McNaney trying to get the lead runner, and instead nobody out, and the Kangaroos have the bases loaded.
Just like we saw in the first game today, the ball taking a bit of an odd bounce off the dirt, bouncing back towards McNaney, and maybe it throws his stride off, shortens his stride towards third base right there. Not entirely sure what happened, but in either circumstance, Austin College going to have the bases loaded with no outs, and exactly what we talked about earlier today, putting the ball into play, making the defense make the play. Austin College doing a good job, Thompson doing a fantastic job of getting the bunt down on that breaking ball. At the very least, it was going to move those runners over, force the hand of this defense, and ultimately they're in a much better situation than they even were trying to get themselves into.
It is Ashton Kaysen, the sophomore from Plano, Texas. Bases loaded for Austin College. Lowe takes it 1-1. Kaysen 1 for 2 today, and he made a wonderful play in right field as well. Right now, the number 9 hitter going up against the tall righty in Duro. The 1-1 delivery, chopped to second. Harris over to Montreza, the throw to first, not in time. Kaysen beats it out. The Roos score 1, and they have 2 opportunities left to tie it up.
And a good job from Duro, just pitching to contact at this point. Induces the double play ball, the potential double play ball, but just too much speed out of the hitter right there. A great job of getting down the line quickly to ensure that, as you mentioned, they will have a couple of opportunities to drive in a tying run.
Infield has the corners in middle infielders at double play depth, with Brandon Hill at the plate, takes ball 1. The junior from Carrollton gave his last one a ride into right center field. Spits out that one in the turf. 2-0 the advantage for Hill. We've got Udisky now at third, the pinch runner. Kaysen at first. A lot of speed for Austin. And that one's tight on Hill. 3 balls, no strikes. The stakes continue to mount, and the Kangaroos unafraid of the moment so far. Duro toes the rubber, now looks towards McNaney. The 3-0 misses low, ball 4. Bases loaded again for the Roos, and here comes their senior hitter, Branson Vrazel.
Certainly not a loss for Duro in that situation. Hill, a guy that we've talked about multiple times today, someone that was in the 3-hole for Austin College in the first action of this doubleheader, got moved up in the lineup to hit leadoff. Not someone you want to mess around with. So instead, putting him on base with a walk, ensuring that you have force outs at every single bag, something that's important. But doing it in a 4-0 capacity isn't something that I think you want to see right now. Going to be a discussion on the mound. Coach Smith coming back out.
And going to be a change right away. At least that was the first indication. Although now it does look like a conversation. Thought I saw Coach Smith's hand go up. But he is talking it over with the entire infield. A pressure-packed spot for the Trinity Tigers on their home turf. This is the conclusion of a 17-game homestand to start the year. They are 11-5, ranked number 19 in the country. They defeated Austin College 10-0 and 10-0 in games 1 and 2. Pretty uncompetitive games as they ran away with them, but this one has been tight. The Roos trailed by 4, and they have been inching closer pitch by pitch. Vrazel, the senior, with 1 away and the bases loaded, ahead in the count. Duro takes a deep breath, loops in a breaking ball, strike 1.
And so often what you want to see, a 4-pitch walk, and he comes back, starts the next batter off with a ball, have that discussion. So many times pitchers use that breaking ball to refine that release point, and he does it 2 times in a row right there, and all of a sudden jumps back out ahead in the count 1-2 with really everything at his disposal. McNaney back behind the plate, gonna have to be a wall, knock everything down.
The 1-2 to Vrazel. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The breaking ball gets him swinging. After the visit from Smith, Duro goes with 3 consecutive breaking balls, ducks 2 on the corner, and then gets the chase. So it'll all be up to Mason Woodhouse, the shortstop who is just a sophomore, but Coach Sean Count said he has been a leader. Bases loaded, 2 away, down 1, and he takes the breaking ball low for ball 1. Woodhouse started this game with a double to right field. He has a lot of power. An honorable mention in the conference last year. Been a slower start to this season, but can make everyone forget about that. Takes a strike on the corner. 1-1 now.
Certainly assume that he's going to get a steady dose of those breaking balls. It's how Duro started the at-bat. A nice response to at least even things up with the fastball, but don't want any hard contact.
And the breaking ball there just continues to work for Duro.
That's exactly it right there. Forcing Woodhouse to pick the bat up off his shoulders. Wouldn't anticipate anything nearly as close. Maybe something that we saw in that last punch out down and out of the zone. Again, trying to force a swing.
Gets the swing on the 1-2, but this time Woodhouse able to fight it off and stay alive. Udiski at third. Kaysen able to beat out the fielder's choice. He's at second, and Hill remains at first. The Roos coming down from Sherman, Texas. 8-28 last year, just 3 conference wins. Trying to get closer to what would be a monumental win, but Duro trying to slam the door. The 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. And that is the door slamming shut on the Kangaroos. Duro gets out of the bases, loaded jam, all sorts of trouble there. But he can get his broom out, and you can get yours out too, because that's a sweep of Austin College for the Trinity Tigers.
Man, and what a turnaround. Those first couple of at-bats for Harrison Duro as juxtaposed to those last few. You split him in the middle with that mound visit from Coach Smith. It was night and day difference, and it was really that breaking ball that he got working to finish things off. But man, you rely on that fastball at the end of the day. Certainly had the hitter off balance. A couple of breaking balls, maybe what he expected in that situation, and it allowed Duro to just blow that fastball by him. And as you mentioned, Brian, really shut the door on the Kangaroos.
And it's so neat to have the perspective that we got just today on this broadcast. We asked Jackson Tier and Joseph Shavana What do you think when you see your pitching coach coming out to the mound and they both said really positive stuff, saying, you know, you're going to get good feedback, you know, you're going to get something that will help you at the end of the day. And wow, did we see that in this 9th inning? 5 consecutive balls thrown by Harrison Duro, bases loaded. The Kangaroos had a chance to tie or take the lead. Then Dave Smith, who has been here for 20 years now as the pitching coach, after 4 years as a pitcher himself with the Tigers, and whatever he said to Harrison Duro worked to perfection, because he gets the save, the Tigers get the win, and Trinity gets the sweep to start off SCAC play unbeaten. It was a little closer than the first 2, but they will take this Game 3 win.
Absolutely, and I think you take all of the performances out of the pitching staff this weekend. Great complete game shutouts from Shavana and Tier, obviously, but it doesn't always look like that. And we talked about this on the offensive side of things. The power hasn't been there, at least not the way it was for the first third or quarter of the season a year ago. The home run numbers were almost double, if not double. But right now they're doing other things really well. They're putting the ball in play consistently, going the other way, bunting, running well on the base paths. This pitching staff is doing everything really well. They're getting great performances from starters that can go all the way in Shavana and Tier. But today, McGahan had a great, solid start. And then you had relievers come in and bridge the gap to a guy like Harrison Duro, who's been in this position on the biggest stage, pitching in the College World Series in relief last season, and he shuts the door, doing exactly why or what his name was called to do today.
23 innings of baseball played. The Tiger pitchers allowed 7 hits and 4 runs across 3 games. Just a tremendous showing by Coach Smith's pitching staff, and we know he's going to be thrilled with what they saw today. The Tigers get the sweep of Austin College. We wish a ton of luck as their season continues and really just get started. Coach Account saying there's 3 seasons, the preseason, conference season, and the postseason. And right now is just the beginning of that conference season. So they will take on Texas Wesleyan on Tuesday night in a non-conference game, but then right back to it against Shriner at home next weekend. Meanwhile, the Tigers, well, it's been a nice ride. 17 consecutive games here with you on Tiger Network. Could have never dreamt it better than that. We would love to have them here every single day, but they are finally hitting the road. They head to McMurray on Tuesday, so a midweek game up in Abilene before the always big matchup with Texas Lutheran in Seguin next weekend. But don't fret too much. 2 weeks from now, the Tigers will be back home, and that should be a great series against Centenary, the Gents coming in from Louisiana. So we hope you join us then. For now, enjoy your Saturday evening. Go watch the U.S. against Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic, and thank you for joining us on Tiger Network. For Luke Terry, I'm Brian Jenselson. Have a superb Saturday night.
I'm San Antonio Mayor Ron Nirenberg. I am a Trinity University alum, and I want you to know about my passion for these 2 vibrant communities. My alma mater is now a nationally recognized liberal arts university, offering fully integrated arts, humanities, STEM, and professional programs. Grounded in the liberal arts, Trinity graduates students who think critically, act meaningfully, and contribute confidently throughout their careers. As for San Antonio, Trinity is an oasis in the heart of a city that serves as a cultural bridge to the Americas. We are a diverse community that values inclusion and welcomes intellectual curiosity and spirited debate. We're a city that challenges convention and welcomes new ideas. Great things are happening at Trinity University, in San Antonio, and through all our connections to our multicultural world. Join me in being part of this exciting moment.